speaking of Bailey Smith, his old side, the Dogs, we are going to talk about them, Jake. If you looked at their fixture at the start of the year, and then you looked at their injury list at the start of the year, and I said to you that they'd be 5-3 through 8 rounds of footy, what would you say?
I would have said, because we did do that exercise, I would have said they would sign up for that every day of the week, be absolutely thrilled by it. We didn't say they would be, but we looked at the fixture at the start of the year and we said, a world exists where they could be 0-5. And it obviously sounds crazy now, but if you go back and have a look at their first 5 games, knowing that Bont was going to miss all 5.
Was out. Jones was out. There was no Ugle-Hagen.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Darcy's missed a couple of games now as well. Waitman out.
So many of their, not just best 22, 23, like best 7 players not playing, and a very difficult fixture to start the year. Bevo under extreme pressure once again. I think there was all these things to sort of say, where could the Dogs season be over before Bont even comes back?
Would they not sign? Would they not re-sign the coach? I mean, that was genuinely we were having these discussions on this podcast.
We were only 2 months ago. So the fact that they have been carried implies that the others haven't been fulfilling their sort of part of the bargain. But I think players like Tom Liberatore and Ed Richards have been, and Aaron Norton as well at times, I think they've all been critical to just keeping them afloat. Now they're getting players back. It's a bit like Brisbane from last year where they had all these injuries and they've been able to plug holes, try new things, find answers. And now they hit the ground running. But you bring these guys back and there isn't the pressure of, shit, we're 2-7. We need to win now. It's like, we can afford a loss here and there. We're in a really good spot now. And in terms of, we were talking about frauds before. Well, they feel like one of maybe 3 teams that
you got them third in my picking.
Isn't at the bottom. Well, maybe 4. I think there's 4. I think it's Brisbane, Collingwood. I know they lost, but it wasn't like they were belted, and we know Geelong's a good team. Hawthorn and the Bulldogs. I think they're the only 4 you can kind of trust week to week at this stage.
So if you got them sort of, I guess, 4th on your current pickings, does Champion Data have the Dogs as a genuine premiership contender? We've talked about the premiership standards a few times on this podcast. Are they ticking the right boxes at this stage of the year?
You put in the right thing. They're ticking the right boxes in terms of going back on to what previous premiers have done. There's still a few holes in their game, so they're still 14th for score per inside 50, which pretty important to be able to defend your back 50. But if you're not letting it in there a lot and you're getting a lot of midfield intercepts, you can protect that part of the game. So there's a few little like red areas and things like that. I still think Gold Coast, who we spoke about last week, has probably, just when you a quick look at their profile, Gold Coast comes up looking quite the best. Collingwood and maybe Bulldogs in terms in 3rd. But you look at what we call the 100% stat, the stats that 10 out of the last 10 premiers have ranked in the top 6 in, and that's what you need to be. So points against, they're 8th. So they sort of miss out on that one. But all the other ones, all the other key stats, they're top 6 in. So points from turnover, they're 6th best. Opposition forward half points, so that's, again, your opposition being able to start in their forward half and get repeat entries and score points if you like. They're 2nd for that, so concede the 2nd fewest. So the best at going from back 50 to forward 50. They have the 2nd best inside 50 differential, which is how they protect their defence, which is only 8th instead of being top 6.
Sure, yeah.
So you look at those two, but you talk about points against, they're 8th across the whole season. The last 3 weeks, they've been 2nd in that stat, which is a 10 out of 10 stat. So 4 out of the 5 stats, they're sort of top 6 in, and the points against, they've been improving as it goes on. But the number one thing that stands out for me is they're the best team at going from end to end with the ball, so going from D50 inside 50, and they're the best team at protecting the ball as well. So to see teams this late in the season to rank number 1 in both of those areas, they join the list of Geelong and Hawthorn from 2008, who both made grand finals, were both ranked up from some point after round 8, were ranked number 1 for both ball movement and defending ball movement. Geelong 09, and I think it was a Hawthorn 2015 as well. So they're all premiers and one runner-up being Geelong, who did lose to Hawthorn on that day. So the defence is probably one issue to watch, but if they can just keep dominating territory and keep with this awesome ball movement and also the hardest team to move the ball against, they're going to stay top 4 for a long time.
You mentioned a few names in that midfield and those that had stepped up in the absence of the likes of Bontempelli and Treloar. A couple of names you didn't mention, Matt Kennedy coming across from Carlton playing a great role.
Yeah.
Joel Fraser really stepping up as well and taking on a little bit of that mantle as well. And the numbers reflect this and where they're rated in terms of
Yeah, so spoke
players
about
overall.
100x last week, which looks at, rather than just having every midfielder the best player in the comp, it actually takes into account where you're playing and what you're expected to produce across 100 minutes game time. Got to play 75% of the season to be qualified in this stat. Sam Darcy was number 1 in this stat, but sort of just dropped out after this week because he's lost his 75% eligibility. Ed Richards, though, is the second best player in this stat for the time that he sort of shares between midfield and defence. 10th on 100x this year, so 10th best player in the comp, Bailey Dale. 23rd, I think they've already run with this on TV, but we're running with it in the office. Baby Bonds, Joel Frazier,
Exclusive.
who is 23rd. And he's just you look at what his breakdown of what he does is very much like Marcus Bontempelli, so something to keep an eye on there. I know Jake will love that comment. 24th, Matt Kennedy across the competition. So they got 4 of the top 25 without mentioning Trelaw.
And not the
Bont
4 you
and
would have.
Libba.
They're not the players you would have thought, expected. So I think Kennedy's been a great, really shrewd acquisition for them. Someone to be able to just provide. I know we've spoken about the top line guys that they have in there, but someone who can. He's the perfect player that was required when not that they would have known at the time, but with no Bontempelli and no Trelaw at the start of the year, to have him in at the centre bounce as an experienced player who can win. He excels at the contest. That's what he does.
Are you looking to re-sign Bevo before the year's up?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to say. I feel like, has there ever been a coach in footy history that's like, you got to get rid of him, you got to sign him, you got to get rid of him? I don't think so, but I don't know. I feel like you've got to. He's done more right than he's done wrong, Bevo, and I think at times people have been far too critical of him. But I don't know. I think I don't see the rush.
Yeah, I don't
think there's a need to do it right this second. But I think if the way they carry on and they go on, if
they flop and then all of a sudden they're, if you're Bevo or his manager, you're probably wanting that.
I'm sure they're wanting it done sooner rather than later.
Haven't they all agreed that it's going to be end of the year? That's what I was going to say. It's weird to say this on a podcast, but it seems like this is just run through the media. The media has asked the question and sort of put the heat on the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are like, hang on, we're just waiting to the end. Like we told you at the start of the year. I don't know why you would resign, why you would do anything now. You just wait to the end of the year.
I think he's kind of indicated he wouldn't want to coach anywhere else. So I think that they're safe in that sort of thing. But I also look at job security, and if you're going well, that's when you renegotiate.
So let's just play a bit look at a bit of a hypothetical. Let's say the Bulldogs finish the season in 4th. Let's use where I said they finished 4th. They win a qualifying final, and then they lose in a prelim. What do they do with Bevo after that?
Oh, you re-sign him.
Okay, so let's say they finish 5th and then get beaten in an elimination final. Then he's gone?
Are there other coaching options out there?
You know what I mean? It's so like, I don't know. I don't think there's any need to do anything right this second. But yeah, I mean, they're obviously tracking towards another strong season. And I think if they have a strong season, we're not going to slam them for re-signing him. He's been there for a long time and he's achieved a lot at the Bulldogs. So
we should just go straight to the source. Kylie Watson-Wheeler's office is just upstairs.
Yeah, go and knock on her door.
Yeah, we'll see what she says.